Okay, I'm ready.
All right. 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. I'm Paul.
I'm Steve.
And this is Check Your Shelf.
It's also the apparently Algernon Blackwood channel. This is the one I got at our half-price book haul shenanigans.
Mm-hmm.
Gothic fantasy Algernon Blackwood, and I've read, like, thanks to you, read a bunch of Algernon Blackwood. So today we're going to do the Willows.
Why don't you tell the folks at home, because they're probably tired of hearing me talk about your experience. And I let everybody know you were going down river whilst reading the Willows.
I did record my little video next to the water in the trees, and see any willows back there. You know, I'm used to willow trees, and this story deals with willow bushes. So I had to kind of look up what willow bushes look like, and I was like, yeah, they are pretty frightening. I could see why he'd write a whole book, a whole short story about how scary willow bushes are.
Especially in that dense of an area. Yeah, that dense of a collection of them. Yeah, they can be terrifying.
This also continues the theme of Paul trying to get me to like various, or trying to expose me to various authors and genres and things by finding something I'm already familiar with and just adding to it. I have done a fair bit of wilderness canoeing, so I know what it's like to be in the middle of nowhere on a canoe with no support and you just have what you brought with you. I know what that's like. The feeling you get is both wonderful and joyous and a little bit scary. And then I also have spent some time in Bavaria, and the Bavaria is referenced in this one as well. So thank you for once again finding, like, he's interested in this and this, and maybe if there's a story with that, I can get him to read that. So it worked.
I got your back, bro.
Yeah. So this, The Willows, written around 1907, which, again, I'm loving these early 20th century stories. It really gives you a view into what the culture was kind of like back then.
Yeah.
And
wait till we get to William Hope Hodgson.
10 years ago, I would have said it's interesting because the culture was quaint and we've made a lot of progress and all this. Given what's happened over the past 10 years and the backsliding we've done, it's interesting how in many ways they were more progressive in 1907 in that time frame than we are now. And I'll get into a little bit of that. It's not a central part of the story, but it's just something that occurred to me while I was reading this, and I was thinking back on the Robert E. Howard book, that story that we read about the what was that one? That was
Pigeons from Hell.
Pigeons from Hell. Yeah,
Yeah.
And really, I thought of a way to mention Pigeons from Hell since that video is doing so well. So go watch Pigeons from Hell. It's good. Then come back and watch
the end of the video.
All right, so it is supernatural fiction. It's got some gothic horror, some weird fiction, and it is reflective of these early 20th century anxieties about, like, nature and the unknown and how fragile and maybe insignificant humanity is. And you see this in other Blackwoods, like the Wendigo. You see it in the Wendigo too, where in the early 20th century, we as humans were really starting to push into the frontiers of Earth, and at the same and this vastness of nature, and we were developing ways of getting out in it. And more people getting out in it, and there's this scariness that comes along, like, what's out there? We don't know, because we not to get political, we genocided the natives, so we can't learn from them. And so,
oops, sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that. But the ones we do hear from, we hear about these legends and things like we had in Europe, like we had our own legends in Europe, but now we're hearing about these legends over here, and it's just in Western Europe, Eastern Europe, and stuff. So anyway, it's that early 20th century anxiety. The other thing that was happening at the same time was discoveries about quantum mechanics and discoveries about relativity and just the cosmos, the universe in general. Telescopes are getting better. Math is starting to. This is the 1907 is when Einstein was at he was learning and he's developing his theories, like theory of relativity. His theory of relativity had not quite been coalesced and integrated and everything. But there's all this, like, we go from the 1800s, 1700s, 1800s Enlightenment, where they said, through science, we will figure everything out. We'll have an industrial revolution. We'll tame the wilds. We will tame energy. We'll tame the Earth's forces to our will. Man will conquer, right? To, with relativity and quantum stuff and pushing out into these wildernesses, you start to go, oh, wait, maybe not. Maybe there's...
Don't push too hard, because something might push back.
Exactly. So I think that's kind of what we're seeing. Now, the plot is a couple of friends who have been on lots of adventures together, are canoeing down the Danube, and they're making their way. They start like where the Danube starts, and they make their in the Black Forest, and they're planning to do the entire Danube all the way out to the Black Sea. And he does such a great job of describing what the Danube starts to look like as you leave Prague and start to go into what they call the marshes, right?
Yeah. Well, as a naturalist, I mean, he obviously knew what he was talking about, and he describes it so poetically that it's just like he paints a picture with words.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Naturalist, is that like one of those people that go to nudist camps and stuff?
I mean, I'm sure he probably did once or twice.
I wouldn't doubt it. So he personifies. I love how he personifies the landscape. And by personify, I mean he just refers to it like it's a person and what it might be thinking and doing and what its motivations might be. Not from a spiritual point of view yet. But he could have been writing about, this could have been a real trip, and he could have just been writing, like, forget the cosmic horror part. He could have just been writing about two adventurers exploring the Danube. And the way he described it was awesome.
I have a theory that this may have been inspired by something he did.
Yeah.
And hopefully I'll have the wherewithals to remember towards the end of the story to bring up why I think it was something, obviously it didn't go this way. But I think he drew from experience on some of it.
Absolutely. It would be impossible probably to describe the willow marshes of the Danube without having been there, right?
Yeah, right.
And he ascribes like a malevolent quality to the landscape. And then you get the willows, these willow bushes, right? And it's interesting how he separates how he feels about the Danube, the water, and the sky versus how he feels about the bushes. And I started to get this vision of you've got water, you've got sky, and you've got life in between the water and the sky. And to him, the water, while he's ascribing like living nature to it, he's still not, the Danube's just doing what the Danube does, right? Yeah. It's just islands appear, islands get washed away. Yeah. They end up sort of crash landing on an island. Yeah. But it's like, oh, that's a good place to stop for the day. And these hurricane force winds are coming and they set their tent up, and then wackiness ensues.
Possible cosmic wackiness ensues. Now I was 100%. I don't know how much further into the story you want to get before we start talking about wild speculation and stuff. But I was 100% on board with the idea, and this is like the third or fourth time I've read this. I was on board with the idea that it was nature doing what nature does, because the way he was describing the shifting shorelines and stuff, and the foliage moves reminds me of, even though I didn't really like the movie The Happening, the M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Mm-hmm.
The way the trees and the ground and everything acted in that movie. That's the visual that I got from it.
I like that.
I was on board with the idea of it just being nature.
Yeah.
Until the narrator stumbles across whatever the hell that was going on in the water, where the pillar of whatever that was like swimming around and doing all this crazy stuff, whether he was hallucinating or not. Yeah. The way he described it was just like, you ever seen like when ants make like a tower?
Oh yeah.
That's what it reminded me of. Or if you've ever had the if you're from the Midwest and you've ever had the experience of being like in the company of a tornado. It's kind of like that's what it struck me as. And it was just like, that's the point where I'm like, all right, this is horror. This isn't just a guy on a trip and hallucinating at this. You maybe he was hallucinating, but to put that much work into it, no, he was doing something supernatural. And by supernatural, I mean the nature was being super.
The nature was being super. One of the beauties of how Blackwood constructed this is I think that's exactly what he was hoping you would get out of it. Now, he was born 100 years before we were born, so he didn't know us, but he was probably imagining we might have that. I love the way he brings the reader along. Like, it starts out, and this, it's kind of, you get this in the Wendigo too, where it could, like I said in the beginning, it could just be a story about these guys out on an adventure, right? And then he starts talking about how weird the landscape is and how weird these willow bushes are. And again, it's like, I thought I heard something last night, but it was probably just the wind. And the Swede, which is his companion, is the most logical. He's just one of these, I only believe what I can sense with my five senses, right? But then he starts to get freaked out because he's hearing these things, right? Yeah. But the narrator just keeps saying, like, it's just the wind. It was the wind. It was the water. He keeps just having these explanations, right? And we're following along. Like, we're like, maybe it is the wind. But then if the Swede thinks it's something weird, maybe it is something weird, So I think
once the Swede cracks,
once the Swede cracks, that's a good life lesson, kids. For you little leaguers out there, everything might seem fine, but once the Swede cracks, that's like your canary in the coal mine. All right. And then I won't get into the details because if y'all haven't read it, you should read it. But the wackiness involves supernatural forces that require a sacrifice. And, so that's about all the story I'll talk about. So if you have more that you wanted to get into with that piece of it, with the story itself, I just want to talk about a few of my favorite parts.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and give my little idea about why I think this is based on something that he experienced. Okay. And the funny part about it is I never considered this until when you sent me the picture of the little anthills that on your trip. Yeah. And I got to thinking about that, and I'm like, you know what? With the way these, whatever this entity is out there, and like the tracks that it leaves behind, the way they're shaped, because they're like, they're like inverted cones. I think what happened was Blackwood's out there canoeing, and he whether it was the Danube or anywhere else, and that's the international sign for canoeing.
Boy, it sure is nice out here. This canoeing, isn't it nice? Look at the water. The water's nice. It's a beautiful day. Wow, what are those little holes in it? Too bad we can't stay.
Too bad we can't stay. No. Anyway, I think he ran across like a beach or something of antlion pits, because that's what the way he was describing them. That's what they reminded me of.
And what's that called? What's the fear of?
Oh, the phobia is tryptophobia. Yeah.
Tryptophobia. Okay.
Yeah, which is nothing to joke about. It's horrifying.
I'm not going to joke about it. When you know better, you do better. Like,
that's right.
25-year-old me probably would have.
Yes.
You do your best until you know better.
Right.
And then when you know better, you do better. So no jokes about tryptophobia.
The more you know.
Some of my favorite words. He used the word antediluvian.
Oh God, yes. Antediluvian's great.
Which I'd seen that word, but I had to look it up. I knew, I was like trying to piece it together. Ante means before. Diluvian apparently refers to the deluge, the biblical flood. So antediluvian. So he's talking about antediluvian creatures. Yeah. And I suppose in 1907, that's like pre anything, right? Nowadays, I'm not sure when Darwin published The Origin of Species, but maybe there still wasn't this concept of life being, a billion years old or something.
Yes.
And so antediluvian was just like, that was before times. There was a singularity where everything got wiped out except what was on the boat, and we don't know what didn't make it to the boat. So these are what these creatures may still be. Another concept I really liked was and he described it so well I was able to picture it. He's like, there are other realms, right? There's other dimensions. And somehow this spot where these willows are, between the water and the sky, and where the willows are, there's like this thin, like the two dimensions are not quite overlapping, but they're kind of touching. And that this is like we would say like a portal now, right? Mm-hmm. But it's like if you put two balloons together, right? And there was a mistake almost, right? We're not supposed to overlap, but somehow things are getting past the membrane, I just love that concept.
Dude, I have so many things for you to read.
And it was through our thoughts. It was through our thoughts that these things found us. So now I'm imagining myself being like like when Clint Eastwood did the movies about the Iwo Jima, and he did one from the American perspective, one from the Japanese perspective, Flags of Our Fathers or something.
Something like that.
It's sort of like that. Now I want the story from the supernatural's position, whatever those creatures were. Yeah. So it could be like they're probably scared, right?
Yeah.
There's an overlap, and if we don't do something about it, they will all break through and kill us all. So we need a sacrifice. If we do a sacrifice, that'll shut down the overlap. It'll fix the rift in space-time,
And that's where it absolutely it goes from being like kind of science fiction or weird fiction to horror. The idea of needing a sacrifice to close it. Also, I had an antediluvian, but she was all wet. All right, anyway.
One of my favorite phrases was, it was like talking out loud in church. I don't even remember the context. I just it was like talking out loud in church.
Sometimes a line will take you out for a minute, and you have a hard time getting back into it.
So we were talking about the theme of technology, right? The gramophone had been invented about 30 years before he wrote this story. And so now we have this concept of, if you hear something, people don't have to take your word for it. You can record it on a gramophone, right? And so the way he's saying these sounds, I don't think a gramophone would have picked up.
Yeah.
So he's bringing in science and the supernatural and like the limitations of science, right?
Yeah, kind of like how Lovecraft did when in the beginning of Madness, when he was laying out all the super high tech stuff they were going to be bringing in, and it didn't hold a candle,
right?
To what they found. Yeah,
exactly. Also, I found a phrase I'm going to add to my lexicon. I like to cook, and stew is one of the things I've been working on lately. I've been trying to make different stews, And so they had their stew pot that they would put on the fire. And at one point he said he dashed back to the fire, warned by the sound of bubbling that the stew was in danger. I'm going to be like, oh no, the stew is in danger. Like this.
It's almost like that thing we do where like when everything is out of control and beyond our control, and we hyper focus on something that we can control. So maybe to like bring his sanity back to some kind of level. Oh no, like in the face of all this. Oh no, the stew.
The stew. Yeah, exactly.
And to be fair, a good stew, man, that cause it's like chicken noodle soup for a cold, man. A good stew will chase that cosmic dread away.
Aye, the stew was angry that day, my friends.
Yes.
One more passage, and then I'll get into some themes here. He says, I've never before been so clearly conscious of the two persons in me, the one that explained everything, and the other that laughed at such foolish explanations, yet was horribly afraid. Mm-hmm. So that gets into the narrator is the logic, like he's explaining everything, and the Swede has cracked. The Swede cracked and is like, no, this is weird. All right. So Algernon Blackwood, I might as well point out at this point, born 100 years before us, but seems to like. So one of the things about that early 20th century stuff, and we've read a few, they're always, and even going back to the Of Mice and Men, I'm fascinated by this male companionship thing that we keep seeing, that keeps coming up. And there's absolutely no apology for two men who really, really enjoy being with each other.
Yeah.
And there's this love and affection that comes through. There's this whole BS thing that I don't know when it started, but it certainly, by the time you and I were growing up, was being hammered into our heads. This whole idea that men aren't supposed to feel that affection for each other. We're supposed to like bust each other's chops and make fun of each other and be like, how was did you see that game? Yeah, heck of a game. You know, you're not supposed to feel that.
Yeah.
That closeness, right? Well, I always thought, late 20th century, early 21st century, finally we're progressing beyond that. No, there must have been a period in the mid 20th century, because there's the proof in these early 20th century books. They have no qualms about being like, this is a totally platonic, close male companionship, and we're not embarrassed by it.
I have when you said mid 20th century, I think you hit the nail on the head. And if anybody smarter than us knows the answer, you can leave it down below. Here's what I think happened. I think it was a post World War II America thing, because so many men came back so messed up from the war that everything got pushed down. Any thought, any emotion gets pushed down after these guys saw what they saw. And it got pushed down. It got this level of like manliness kind of rose up out of it, and anything that was softer than manliness was ridiculed.
And there probably were some pretty close companionships. I mean, that's kind of what comes out of shared trauma, right? And shared danger. And they didn't want to come back and talk about it because, that would mean I'm soft. You know,
right?
It's a good point.
I mean, yours and my shared trauma is Springfield Township, so
yeah, exactly.
It totally tracks.
Well, yeah, and so it makes me hopeful to read more and more of these things, because that means that it's a temporary. We can maybe at some point people will study 1946 through 2035 or something and say that was a period where this became a thing, but it's no longer a thing, right? We're back to recognizing the reality of human relationships.
Right. Like our children's children might read stuff that was being written now and go, wow, I wish Grandpa was still alive to tell us, is this really how it was?
Wonder why Grandpa was so uptight. Geez.
But anyway.
All right, so some of the themes, in addition to this male companionship theme, which wasn't a central theme, it's just something I noticed. Like
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it was so not a central theme, probably because he was like, "Oh, it's just a normal thing."
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, look at the man who found out. There was the mentor mentee, but there was something more than just that.
Yeah.
On the friendship level, it wasn't just teacher student. It was like equals.
Yes.
Who enjoyed each other's company.
Maybe there'll be a whole episode on just buddy books that Paul and Steve like.
What if there's a link between cosmic horror and male companionship?
Yeah, maybe.
Think about it. Anyway.
Okay, how about the limits of human perception? We can't know everything. Mm-hmm. And in fact, maybe we're not supposed to know everything. That's a theme in here, mm-hmm. right? Obviously, cosmic indifference, which Lovecraft was inspired by. Algernon Blackwood said he was a master of this stuff. So mm-hmm. obviously, Lovecraft's like, I'm going to make my whole career about how indifferent the cosmos is to humans.
Yeah, the kid next to him's like, I'm going to claw my way through middle management. You're like, I'm going to make a career out of...
Yeah. Psychological disintegration. Like, the dude thought he was losing it, as did the Swede. You know the narrator makes it, right? Mm-hmm. Because he's telling the story. You don't know if the Swede's going to make it, and I'm not going to tell you guys whether he makes it or not.
Yeah, and see, that's one of the things I like about short stories is... short stories aren't famous for character development, but what they are, what they lack in character development, they make up in us speculating what happens next to these people.
Yeah,
because it affected their life, so it gives us the opportunity to develop those characters in our minds. That's why typically when they write either like a sequel or make a movie sequel based on what happens next. Or what happened previously, it's never as good as what we've imagined in our head.
Right.
The Star Wars movies, for instance, are a prime example of that.
By the way, in honor of close male companionship and stoic Swedes, shout out to our buddy Michael.
Yes, which we should get on the show when his book comes out.
Yes, absolutely.
So, Michael, if you're watching, we're watching you.
Read the Willows. See if you see yourself in the Swede. I don't really, because he's so stoic and unemotional.
Yeah, Michael's kind of
very emotional.
Exact opposite of that.
Yeah, but he is a Swede. So
yes, he is.
That's all I have to say about that.
That's quite a bit. All right, so on Steve, on a scale of 4 and 3 and 2 and 1, how would you rate the Willows?
4.
Yes. This one, as much as it pains me, I'm not going above 4. So, yes, this one is a solid. It's a 4+. It's like it's the 4 that your teacher asks you if he can keep it to show classes down the line. It's that kind of 4.
It's that kind of 4.
Yes. But that's just what we think about the Willows. Let us know down below what you guys think. I know a lot of people who watch our show, they read a lot of the same stuff we do. So I always like to hear what they have to say. And then while you're down there, don't forget to do all the YouTube things, like, comment. You've already commented. Like, subscribe, hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of our cosmic wackiness or cosmic dread or anything else to come.
Steve's shirt.
Yes,
This is in honor of that video Paul did about comics while I was on vacation. Snicked. For those that don't know, it's the sound Wolverine's. It's the sound made when Wolverine brings out his adamantium claws. Snicked.
He doesn't like them much, but he knows how to use them. All right, well, that's going to close the cover on this episode of Check Your Shelf. Again, Willows, public domain. You can find it anywhere. There's numerous sites. There's LibriVox is the thing if you want to listen to it. There's countless versions of it out there. I highly recommend it. And
I thought that was a medication. When you sent me that, I was like, I I don't have time to look it up, but it must be a medication that he's on.
Oh no, LibriVox is a voluntary organization of readers who don't want stories to disappear. But yeah,
use LibriVox if you're allergic to LibriVox, or if you're allergic to any of the ingredients in LibriVox. Ask your doctor if LibriVox is right for you.
Side effects may include poor audio,
reading more books in a year. The other thing I highly recommend is the Algernon Blackwood website, where they have PDFs of practically all of his stuff that they got from Project Gutenberg. And if you need a tutorial on how to get a PDF onto the Kindle app for free, let me know and I can help you out with that.
No. We're just gonna do that. We'll make that a very special shelfie.
All right.
Yeah. We'll figure out how to do that, and we'll get that out there for you kids.
Sounds good.
All right. So just in case you have the Willows handy and don't have to look it up, I'm Paul.
I'm Steve.
And the next time you're looking for something to read,
check your shelf. Again, born in 1869, 100 years before me.
Yeah.
You can come say hi if you want.
Hope you're doing well, Paul. Bye.